It is a world where gravity is irrelevant and reality is virtual.
SPAD 2, Fox 2. SPAD 2, Splash Bandit.
When you come out of there, you're sweating and you're tired.
In the military and commercial world, as well as computer gaming, flight simulation is transforming the way the world experiences aviation. It is flying without wings. Simulating flight is a multi-billion-dollar industry that can take a user anywhere in the world in virtually any type of airplane without ever leaving the ground. Because of that ability, it touches every area of aviation, from the professional to the casual user. The only way non-pilots can experience a virtual slice of the real thing is through computer gaming.
The ultimate challenge of working in Flight Simulator compared to other games, other games deal with the fantasy world. With Flight Sim, we're dealing with the real physical world.
For a licensed pilot, simulation can be indispensable.
You can't walk in off the street and learn to fly an airplane in a simulator. But if you know how to fly an airplane, a simulator will make you a better pilot.
In commercial aviation, but especially in the military environment, flight sim mistakes are not just allowed, they are expected. Because in this type of training, the pilot is being shot at.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. We've been hit by direct fire. 1-6 going down, 1-6 going down.
Our soldiers die in simulation, but virtual death is a learning tool. Real death is not.
The simulation tools that the United States military and armed forces around the world use take many forms. Some are fully enclosed simulators which move, while others are stationary cockpits. Previous generation simulators had limited fields of view on lower resolution video screens. 21st century simulators offer vastly improved images over a much wider field of view. The virtual cockpit, like this F-16 simulator manufactured by Link Simulation and Training, is being deployed as the latest tool for both U.S. Air Force and Navy fighters. Like most military simulators, the cockpit is stationary and is called an FTD, Flight Training Device. The instrumentation is exactly as it is in the airplane, and the sensory experience is made more realistic by the visual screens which virtually surround the pilot.
Sometimes I'll actually feel myself crunching up like I would before a hard turn, even though I'm in a simulator. And so I think it's very realistic, and you do get lost in it, and I think that's good. The rear facets provide a pilot the ability to do what he would do in the airplane. Generally speaking, surface-to-air missiles are going to come at you from behind because they're looking at that heat source in the tail of the airplane. So being able to both see a SAM and react to a SAM by having those rear facets is extremely important.
There is a huge difference between a single pilot flying his aircraft and fighting in it as part of a team. On today's battlefield, pilots are almost always integrated into a larger force. The future of military simulation training is here at Langley Air Force Base, one of two bases with F-15 Distributed Mission Operations Centers, or DMOs. 4 F-15 simulators are linked together to practice techniques, tactics, and procedures.
What simulators can give you is realistic threat presentations on classified systems that may be employed by the enemy and allow you to practice tactics that we can't go into detail. I wish I could show everyone the true value that comes from those.
What the military won't show anybody is the fidelity of the threat simulation that the pilots fly through in these simulators. It is far, far above the level that we in the public ever get to see.
SPAD 4, South Group Bullseye, 145, 29, 18,000 hostile.
Boeing is the prime contractor for these multi-million-dollar simulators, but a number of subcontractors provide the know-how to make 4 pilots interact with each other in real time at real simulator speed. A civilian contractor sits at the instructor-operator station and runs the simulation. His display screens show the position of each F-15 and enemy aircraft.
When the pilots are flying the sims, they have 2 threats that they can fly against. They have the threat
computer-generated forces that are semi-intelligent, that will react to what the F-15 pilots are doing. And we also have the capability through the threat stations or manned combat stations to provide a man-in-the-loop with an instructor sitting there and flying against the F-15s.
If the enemy doesn't shoot back, it's just a target drone, and we do not get any training out of that. The flight characteristics of both the friend and the foe simulators are near perfect. The images and the flight characteristics for our jets mirror the ones that are out on the ramp. And the Bandit simulations are exactly as the way the aircraft fly.
Even though computer-generated images are not as sharp as the human eye can discern, the level of visual acuity is improving.
The ability to see your squadron mates with the visuals, the clarity, is what makes a simulator so important. Because when we get into a visual environment, to be able to visually identify friend and foe is of the highest importance.
SPAD 2, Splash Bandit.
When you're flying in air-to-air combat, you need to be near instinctive. You need to be doing motions and actions without thinking. And the simulator is able to train you to be able to do that instinctively.
SPAD 2, Tally 1.
You can be immersed in just about any type of environment, and when you come out of there, you're sweating and you're tired after an hour and a half.
Lift your nose 3 miles.
And distributed mission training, or collective training as it is also known, is reaching beyond the boundaries of a single base and single aircraft type.
The training with other bases is very important. Generally, the aircraft, the pilots get a chance to train with a red flag type scenario where they get to integrate the F-16s, the AWACS, maybe once, twice a year max. With the simulators distributed that we have now, they can do it on a daily basis or weekly.
Besides cost savings, the value of this distributed mission training has already been proven under battlefield conditions.
One of the crews that participated in the first night of the war in Operation Iraqi Freedom came back afterwards and said, gee whiz, the rehearsal I did back at my home base in our distributed mission operations area, our mission training center, was virtually the same thing that I just went through in combat. Talk about mission rehearsal.